BG there outside the media centre. She's quick, that Prim. Goodness me, she was with me a minute ago and then she was there. And that's amazing. Anyway, nearly a full house here on court number 17 for Jack Sock, as the boys and girls were just alluding to there. Jeff Tarango has made his way out of the hotel and down to courtside here with me. Jeff, just give us a little bit of meat on the bones as far as Jack Sock's concerned.
Well, he's been injured. You know, he's coming back. He's a 6 week back from being injured. He hasn't really traveled that much as far as experience goes on the tour. He's still in a learning phase in his career. He's really trying to put it all together. He's a very powerful player, very explosive player. Plays a lot right now just off, you know, instinct. He hasn't really learned the game yet. He is becoming a student of the game. I was just speaking with his coach and his agent for a long while now, just waiting for this match and catching up on everything that he has been doing. But, you know, he's got a great following in Nebraska. His family does great things getting behind him, and he's really the player in America that we are going to be watching for a long time. He is a great professional, and he's getting really good, really fast. It's just that, you know, 25 is the new 20 on the tour, and you know, he's 19. He can't be expected to just come out and win the U.S. Open in his first or second try. He's won the Junior U.S. Open. He's got that experience under his belt, but what can you ask for him except just keep trying out there, keep getting better, and learn how to play a guy like this. This guy beat him really badly in Los Angeles. Much slower courts, much different environment. I'm looking for Jack to really push and see what he can do against a player like this after taking such a beating very short while ago, 3-1. And, you know, can you come back from a loss like that and beat a guy on the big stage like that? Well, that would be the sign of a champion, wouldn't it?
Well, he's a big fella, Jack Sock. That's one thing that stands out for me. I actually walked by him earlier on today, and this guy has got some serious muscle in him. I mean, upper body is strong. You can see he really fills out his shirt. The legs are tough as well. He spent a little bit of time down in Vegas with Gil Reyes because, as Jeff was saying, he tore some stomach muscles, had a surgery in March, so kind of had to just start again a little bit, and then came back in the summer and has played some good ball, has this man from Lincoln, Nebraska. Still just 19 years of age. Completely inexperienced, to be honest, at this sort of level, but a win in the first round over Florian Mayer, who was far from at his best, it must be said, and in the end Mayer retiring with illness, down a couple of sets and a break. So it was a good performance and on grandstand, but this is a different sort of challenge because, as Jeff was saying, Flavio Cipolla, he's a funky sort of character. He's got a lot about him, different spins and everything.
Yeah, I mean, he likes to slice. He likes to keep the ball out of your range. He's not exactly a counter puncher. He can attack. He can be aggressive, but he's really a guy. He's not going to make more than 15, 20 errors this whole match. It's going to be Jack Sock that's going to have to take the match away from him. He's not going to give it to Jack. He's going to make Jack play his best tennis to beat him.
He is. Cipolla is the Italian, as we were just saying, currently 87 in the world. Father's actually a tennis coach, and the top 100 finish last year for the very first time in 2011. Mixes his time on the challenges, as you would do when you're down and around 90 in the world, so plays a few challenges. And you can see, only 5'8", Jeff, so he's a pretty small guy really as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's 5'8", but he plays about 5'10" and a half. He plays on the aggressive side. He's not always counter-punching. He's a smart player. He's crafty. He'll play almost a different point every time out there, but he knows how to play Jack Sock in his mind. But what I think favors Jack is that this surface is much faster than LA, and I'm on the adult competition committee in LA, and I want him to speed up the courts out there to make it better for the American players. But this court with this ball helps Jack a lot more than the environment in LA. So I'm hoping that the surface change alone can help Jack Sock win this match.
Look out for the Sock serve, because it's a very good one. He's got a real beauty of a kicker out wide. It really does get some purchase off the court. We saw that against Florian Mayer, and you can certainly expect him to use that today against the small Cipolla, who might be able to get the ball up high. Cipolla's first round win came against Blaz Kavcic, the man from Slovakia. Good win that, because Kavcic has had some good results this year. Saw some of that, a straight sets victory. And he's got a good set of wheels, Cipolla. Amazingly, I was looking through his results at Grand Slam level. Actually made the last 32 here in 2008, did Cipolla, and lost in 5 to Wawrinka, 6 in the 5th to make the last 16. But since then, Cipolla's not really done a great deal at Grand Slam level.
Yeah, and for him, getting to the 3rd round here would mean that he keeps his ranking up there in the top 100 for another 2 years. And that's really what his goals are, is to just kind of chip away at the tour, keep collecting his money, get in there, fight away, and occasionally get that big win. It's more, I mean, Jack Sock and Steve Johnson just beat the #1 seed in doubles a couple days ago. They're ready for the big stage. These guys want to get big results, and beating a player like this would really be a good sign that Jack Sock is on his way. But if he doesn't win this match, not exactly the biggest deal either. Jack needs to get a lot more experience under his belt. He's got a great coach now with him. He's writing some checks for that big coach, I might add. But he's learning the steps. He's really got some students of the game behind him. And, you know, anytime you get, you know, Amit Noir and Ion Tiriac and blanking on his coach's name, the Swedish Nyström. Yeah, no, I mean, you are going to learn the game of tennis, and when you've got that kind of physique and you've got that kind of game already, the backhand down the line, the slice approach shots, the passing shots on the run, they come. You learn that as you're on the tour, because it's just survival of the fittest out there. And Jack is getting that instead of a college education. It's a different kind of education. If you want to be top 10 in the world, you have to major in being a pro, and that's how you major in being a pro rather than go to university, is by getting out there on the tour, playing in Asia, playing in Europe, playing on clay against the top clay quarters. I mean, you know it, Nick. I mean, there's just a certain way to learn the game, and he's taking the right steps. He's getting there. I'm very excited about this match. It's a great opportunity for him, and it's also a great opportunity for America to see our best up-and-coming junior play.
Well, if you're excited too, please get in touch with us via the Twitter at IDV Tennis. Jeff and I also have our own personal Twitter accounts. I'm at Nick Lester. You're at Jeff Tarango. That's right, isn't it? That's how you can contact us in the Twitter world. If you're on Facebook as well, facebook.com/E3ITV Tennis.
And we want to hear it. We want to hear it. And we don't want just simple questions. We want tough questions. And we want you to be double checking us. I don't mind you double checking us and saying, oh, that stat was wrong or this is wrong, and correct yourself. I don't mind that. I'm never afraid to say I'm wrong. Let's have fun. Interactive TV, the best thing for tennis.
That's Jeff Tarango. I'm Nick Lester. We've got Jack Sock in front of us. Hope you enjoy it. Early doors against Meyer. That is a heavy forehand, Jeff, isn't it?
Yes, and since there's no rain in the forecast, no clouds in the sky, you know, I was over here in the coaching and all this stuff that was going on in the camp with Jack before the match, and he's right on line to strategically win this match. We'll go into it a little more later.
There's a little early indication of the mess, if you like, that Cipolla can throw at you.
Right, and also the inexperience of Jack to not move up on that slice approach, not take it early. He was thinking of slicing it back. He either got to chip that lob high, or he's going to take 2 hands on that backhand and rip it down the line. It's more of a statement early in the match that you make to your opponent. It's not necessarily trying to hit the superstar shot. You want to make a statement, show this short guy how to cover the net so that you can get him later. Much smarter shot there by Jack. I guess if you have a name like Cipolla, you're gonna throw in some chips and salsa throughout the match, aren't you?
Yeah, he lives up to his surname, that's for sure. Did very well last year in qualifying. He qualified Cipolla 11 times on tour last year. That's the most
for the tour events or
yeah.
for challenge.
In fact,
that's
got to
be a
myself.
record.
Yeah, 8 times. Sorry, I correct myself. That was the more than anyone else on the ATP World Tour. Cipolla qualified 8 times at events last year. No mean feat, Jeff, is it?
No, I qualified 7 times one year. I remember Wayne, my first year on tour, and Wayne Ferreira beat me out that year. He qualified 8 times in that year. Very tough to do at the tour level, but in the back of your mind, it proves that you belong. You know you've earned it, and you get extra points.
So a little bit of everything from the Italian to begin with here. How do you prepare to play someone like Cipolla? Do you get the coach to go out there and give you a load of slice backhands or not?
Well, I mean, it's almost like he reminds me a lot of Santoro. I mean, he doesn't have the 2 hands on both sides, but there's so much variety. There's that time he pulled Jack into the net, so Jack came in on a ball that he didn't want to come in. Approaching off a ball you don't want to come in on is completely different from aggressively taking a ball out of the middle of the court and coming in behind it. You have to wait. You can't try to overpower the guy with the first or second ball of the rally. You have to wait for 3 or 4 balls within the rally. Almost wait for Cipolla to get himself out of position before you strike. And that's something that's very hard for Jack. His coaches were trying to explain to him how to do that exactly before the match. And it's something that he's going to have to digest throughout this match and really learn how to do. .134 right up the middle. That's why we like this guy.
Nice little loosening. You could hear the crowd sort of in disbelief at that first delivery. What were you serving at your peak, pace-wise?
Well, 127.
It's funny, you know,
but that was with gut strings, and
yeah.
I actually think with this modern string, I would have served a lot harder. I think it's a different ball game these days. You get an extra 10, 15 miles an hour from this modern string.
It's funny, Brian Baker was saying yesterday, and they said to him, what was your first memory of coming here when you were 8? And he said, well, I'd never forget. He said, I had to sign 120 when everyone served. And he said, now, he said, you'd be like 140 people would be holding up that sign, because whenever someone hit a big serve, he said how times have kind of moved on.
Oh, that's challengeable.
Well, we're 2 from 2 on the British umpires today, as James Kiathavon is in the chair.
Jack Sock stayed at the deuce court and respectful to his opponent there. He knew that ball was landed on the line. Certainly close enough to overrule. See how Jack attacked that volley and made kind of I don't want to say a flagrant swing at it, but it was more of a panic volley instead of laying the racket down way below the ball and just kind of lift it up into the open court. And these are the things that Nystrom can really teach Jack. People forget Nystrom was #1 in the world in doubles for a number of years, played with Mats Wilander, and knows every aspect of this game.
sitting below us in the commentary box here, worked with Jürgen Meltzer for a good spell. In fact, I think his relationship with Meltzer's finished now. He certainly wasn't here last night watching Jürgen, who lost in 5. The contemporary Jeff Durangos.
Yeah, the CAA group behind him in the green shirt, blue dress shirt. His agents and his brother, I think, sitting next to Joachim right there behind the American Express sponsor. Great serve out wide there by Jack. And boy, he's had 2 points that shows you how simple he can keep it on his service game. Pamela Sock, I'm sure, at home, riding the sofa many different ways during this match. It's going to be hard for her to keep her nerve, but I'm sure she'll send out some emails to us during the match for her feelings. Please tweet us, by the way, Pamela, if you're watching this. Let us know what you're thinking. Tell us how we're doing.
Some good hold under pressure. Different sort of opponent. We said different sort of spins he's going to have to deal with today. This young man who could well have gone to college, had offers from numerous colleges across the nation to entice him to go and play, but decided to turn pro, make that decision. We've seen how well the players have done this week that have been at college.
Cipolla just sees the point so well. He sees really outside of the box. He has a real presence about him, about where his opponent is in the court, which way his opponent's leaning. Watch, right when Sock leans there, he goes the opposite way. He's very good disguise and anticipation on all of his shots, not just one shot here or there. He's just really kind of lying in wait throughout the point and the game and the match.
I guess when you're 5'8" as well, you've got to find different ways to win points, haven't you, Jeff? Because realistically, this guy's not going to be blasting people off the court, is he?
Well, to be 50 in the world, he has to be a lot better than the 49th player in the world. Let's put it that way. It's harder work. That ball going well up into the stands there, and a nice little souvenir.
Yes, of course, they get to keep the ball at the US Open. I think I'm right in saying. Take a little while for Sock just to settle in here. Got a very fast start in his first round. Cipolla is in front, 2-1 in this opening set.
I get my badge off too. Yep.
Is that all right? Two-one for the Italian.
Seats quickly, please, behind the players.
A nice volley there by Jack. You can see Tate comes in. That's a smart first volley, and that one's a kill. You can't try to overpower him on that first ball. You've got to really play smart tennis to set it up.
Himself in a good position.
Yeah, Cipolla should make that volley, but it was a smart passing shot attempt there by Jack. Not trying to do it all in one shot. I think his two-handed backhand down the line isn't quite up to par for a top 10, top 20 player, and so he elected to slice that ball down the line. I like the option. There he goes, giving a little business back to the Italian.
And the Italian having to get the wheels moving pretty quickly here, and he did. Look at this, look at that, right off the bat. And this was a pretty good recovery as well. So 5'8", as we were saying, only 183 pounds as well, Flavio Cipolla. Sock holds for two apiece. Junior champion here a couple of years ago. In fact, was the first American to win the juniors here since Andy Roddick. 2000, Roddick won the boys singles here. Sock did it a couple of years ago. I think he beat Dennis Kudla in the final, if I'm correct in saying.
Three sets. He was 6-4 in the third. Won Kalamazoo twice.
Kalamazoo, just to clarify, is the national championships for the juniors.
Oh, everybody watching this knows who Kalamazoo is, where it is, what it is, who it is. It's the
Where is Kalamazoo?
Michigan. And it is the biggest tournament in junior tennis. If you ever go there, you'd just be amazed. It's
What time of year does that take place?
Really cool place, really great place to play. You could send your kids there by themselves and they'd be just fine. David Markin's baby, ex-president of the United States. Great volley there by Jack Sock.
Sock bringing some muscle to the table in this rally.
And that's what his coach and his agent were talking to him about before the match. Wait in the point. Don't be afraid to rally with him. He's not going to hurt you necessarily, but he's eventually going to give you a point that you can attack on. And if you can just get 4 of those points a set, you'll break him and you'll win this match. Too bad. He really got into that point well. It was a good opportunity for him. He maybe could have sliced that ball, but even a drive cross court would have been okay. But that's going to be the make or breaker on this match, is how many unforced errors is Jack going to make to his winners, because Cipolla is not going to make many errors. Still don't think he's made one. It says he's made 3, but I haven't seen one.
Oh, we saw Jankovic had a little bit of trouble with grips slipping, and Cipolla there just looking down as if to say, well, sweaty palms. Ripped it.
Big shot up the line, inside in. Nobody saw that coming, including his opponent. It landed 2 inches inside the line. That's plenty of margin for me, Nick. Look at this replay. Look how far in. Well, it looks like it hit the line there, but it was a couple inches in. Great shot to set up his first break point.
It's long, and Sok strikes first in this second round match. Cipolla is broken, and as Jeff Tarango was saying, it might just be the one break each set that'll do it. That's a very good start from the teenager. Jeff Tarango alongside myself and Nick Lester watching the 19-year-old Jack Sok. Is he the next big hope of American tennis? Maybe, maybe not. It's been a good start. He's got a break here against Flavio Cipolla. A couple of people have been tweeting us here saying, where should Jack go from here? He's only 19. Should he go and play some ATP events qualifying or back down to challengers? Irrespective of win or lose this match, what would you do?
Well, I think it's based on the schedule a little bit. Unfortunately, in American schedule, there are no tournaments after the U.S. Open for him to play. In my day, there was a San Francisco, L.A. afterwards, and now there are challengers after the U.S. Open, and everything else is in Asia and Europe. I think he should be playing qualifying in the major events. He should be out there. He should be getting the extra points and the extra dime when he does qualify. He's got the big contracts to do it, and I think he should do that, but because of the American schedule, he's probably going to play the challengers, but in my opinion, he's better than that challenger level, and he should be scooping. I think he's ready to win a 250 event, and he needs to keep his name in the hat every week at that level until he does it.
Well, he made the quarters of a 250 event just a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta. Down there, lost in the quarterfinals. Pretty good effort, that.
Unfortunately, it's near the end of the year, and most of the guys are playing every week, and so the cutoffs get really, really high, really, really tough, and because of that, he'll probably play the challengers. But I'm hoping that he should win all those challengers. I mean, not just a couple of them, all of them.
Moving forward to certainly pay dividends in the early stages here. This young American who swept all before him at high school was 80-0 was his record when he was playing at high school. That's incredible. certainly don't see this sort of style that often. Actually quite refreshing. Well, it's good that he can smile about it.
A big point now, though. That puts the pressure on him to come up with a couple big serves here, and he does have that kind of equipment. I haven't seen him go for a body serve yet, Nick, and that to me is a little disturbing because against a good returner, you want to keep all three of those options open instead of just going for the corner every time, which hugely increases the amount of pressure on your percentage.
Did well, very well.
Scrappy point by the American to stay in there.
I tell you who used to play that short slice almost better than anyone else? Tim Henman. Used to love that little dinky little short slice off his backhand to draw the baseliners in. You must have seen a few play that in your day, Jeff.
Yeah, he liked to do that to me too.
I thought you went quiet. Shank from the teenager, and it's a break point for the Italians to get right back on serve here.
And that's just the moment catching up to him a little bit there. You know, trying to consolidate the break for a young player is one of the toughest things to do in pro tennis. And that's what his coaches and agents are telling him. Early in the point, just be content with playing the ball corner to corner. Let him get himself out of position there. He tried to pull the trigger, and it's a break point for the Italian. Great defense there by Jack Sock with an aggressive style forehand, but did you see how far in that forehand was? It was 5-6 feet in. Cipolla, I don't know how he got that serve back. 133 out wide, and he just kind of stabbed at it. Didn't really get any muscle behind it.
Third of the 26 minutes we've been out here. Also says he's been changed his diet a lot. So looks at the diet big time, trying to change things up a little bit, eat more healthy, not put so much junk into the body.
Not quite sure I'm seeing that in his physique as yet.
Oh, has he found the line? He has.
I don't think you should give up cornbread, though. I mean, that's got to be one of the most tasty things from Nebraska.
Nice,
cornbread with a little butter on it, maybe a little salt. Ooh.
I know you're missing your Dutchies from Wimbledon.
It's making me hungry just thinking about that cornbread. I don't think you should quit that. I think you should eat 10 times more of it. Throw in a Gatorade or something, and that'll do it.
Yeah. Wash it down nicely.
Yeah. That's huge. Might get a challenge out of it, but that ball is big.
Left service line. The ball's got in. Second service.
Well, he's having a little smile to himself as the ball is confirmed wide.
That was awfully close. Hard for me to believe that one hair of that ball didn't touch the line. You see how he just overplays that forehand cross court. The court was completely open. He didn't have to hit a winner on that ball, but somehow it irritates him that he knows his opponent's going to get back 2 or 3 of his big shots per point. And it just kind of grates on his nerves, and that creates that hitch almost on that forehand cross court. Not quite necessary. Just needs to settle down into this match. This is a tough game for Jack. He's got to pull it out. But it's not the end of the world if he doesn't. I think he's just putting a little too much pressure on himself.
Ooh. Good attempt at a pass. The shot didn't give him a lot of room there.
No, but a good risk to come in off that ball. He struck it really well, and he saw that his opponent was going to be well outside the court and deep in the baseline, so it's going to be tough for him to even get the pass around him. He'll have time to make the volley. In the immortal words of Barry McKay, it's deuce.
Sometimes it might actually be better for Sock to go to the forehand of Cipolla because he's going to get a ball with a little more spin. He's actually going to sit up a little more. It's a better height for him, right?
Right, and that's why he needs to have that idea of waiting a little bit, not going for just the biggest shot he can on every ball, because he will get that kind of sitter through the middle of the court that looks a little bit more appealing to rock and roll on, if you will. Movement just not quite there after that serve. He needs to stay on the balls of his toes, especially against a player like this, because you can't really anticipate where Cipolla is going to hit the ball. So you kind of have to be in that ready to sprint stance at all times. It is exhausting, but it's worth it on a point like that. Didn't make it. Can't let that ball drop. Bad luck. See right here, Cipolla makes a great shot there, but he should have taken a step forward instead of a step back to catch that ball while it was still around net height. These are just so many little nuances that Jack is going to have to get under his belt in order to be a top player. He has the frame, he has the power. These are things you have to learn.
Too big. Really caught aggressive, a little uptight. You can see just having constant chatter with the team in the front row there. Anxious, but he's 19, as we say.
Yeah, well, he's not going to get anything out of Joachim Nystrom. He's as cool as a cucumber over there. Remember him coaching Thomas Inquist when I was on tour, and they were just like the Icemen. Big one out wide by the Husker. Sorry, Nick. My Americanisms are, you're not going to really.
Well, I
get
kind of
all
got
of
the
them.
Husker.
Okay, good.
That means the part of the where he's from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I cottoned on there.
Bad luck. That was a really good return there by Cipolla, and Sock could have sliced that forehand, but then he would have had to retreat. I think that was the right play for him to go for that hard cross-court forehand there. It was just a really difficult ball. I call that the Bermuda bounce. You know, it's just not where you want it to be, is it? Yeah, just keep doing it. Try that one up the middle now. Great serve out wide. And this, obviously the longest game of the match so far, would be a big feather in his cap to get this hold.
Yeah, a win here today would almost certainly see him crack the top 200 for the first time in his career. And around 240 now, so third round points in. Of course, the points significantly more at the Grand Slams. And weighted to do well at the bigger events. It's a good hold. Under pressure, Sock comes through. A real test early doors. And it's a 4-2 lead for the Nebraska. You can see that Joe Wilfried Tsonga has woken up on Arthur Ashe. He dropped the first set to Martin Klizan, but there's now 5-love to the good is Tsonga in the second set. Heading for one set all. It's actually Alan Armstrong. Marty Fish is the American right now playing on Arthur Ashe. He's taking on Nikolai Davydenko. 5-4 in the first set for the Russian.
Davydenko might not be at his top level anymore, but boy, is his footwork still so good. And look for a little mental break here for Jack Sock, just kind of taking a deep breath, digesting the fact that that was a huge hold for him. And up a break now, consolidating. He's allowed to go for the hills on these shots. He's allowed to make a few errors by trying aggressive shots.
Lost in the first round 11 times this year. It's Cipolla on tour. We had Yanni Yankovic, who had lost 13 times in the first round on this court earlier on.
So big point here for Jack Sock, 30 all. Let's see how he plays this. Does he play it aggressively? Does he calculate? Very interesting to see inside his mind a little bit. Now it's a second serve. Well out. Cipolla's going to challenge it, but it's ridiculously out, in my opinion.
So a chance really to put this set to bed. All but. He does a double break. Cipolla looking disgusted with that. The error coming off the forehands. And Sok in command of this first set at 5-2. House virtually on 17. They've all come to cheer on the American, as you would expect. Good start.
Yeah, and back to the Facebook question of the significance of Kalamazoo. I tell my players, and I just had a player, JC, who hopefully is listening to this broadcast. He lost to the same two guys in his section 3-4 times in the year, and you go to Kalamazoo and he beat those two guys in this round of 16 in the quarters, and before he played them I said, nobody in the world is going to remember that you lost to them 3 times if you beat them at Kalamazoo. You beat them at Kalamazoo, it erases all the losses you've ever had on that player. That is the time to shine. That's where all the college coaches are, it's where all the pro scouts are.
Same could be said of this place, really.
Do you guys have that kind of level of tournament in Great Britain, where it's just, I mean, the points, everything at Kalamazoo is so much bigger?
Not on the scale of you're talking about. No, we have a national championships in Bournemouth, or just had the under-18 national championships, but it doesn't hold the weight.
And the great thing about it, I think, and USTA is in a little bit of a quandary here. They might make a mistake and reduce the draws of this tournament, but I think the great thing about it is the 128 draw aspect, because you can get a kid from the inner mountain who's 4, who's just starting to bloom, who really shines at that tournament, and now you found a star out of nowhere. You can always find the diamond in the rough at Kalamazoo. And I really hope they keep the draw sizes big in those big national tournaments, because we need to find those diamonds in the rough right now in American tennis. Great big serve by Jack Sok, who's serving for this first set after losing to this player 3-1 4 weeks ago in Los Angeles. This would be a big mental edge for him to get this first set under his belt.
2 points from doing just that. Well, when you've got a big forehand like Sok's as well, it's natural for the Italian just to rock back. And that's why he's such a sucker for the little field.
And that was good feel. That inside out drop shot bounced into the tram lines. 2 set points for the young American.
And for service.
Shank forehand there on the pass attempt, but he could say that's in the budget at this point.
Got it. A 7th ace. Jack Sock has now played 3.5 sets in the US Open. He's been untroubled for the duration of them. 43 minutes. That is a very, very competent opening. Hesitate slightly, use the word decline, but it is that from the US men in the top 50. Back to 1990 when Jeff was around, early 1990s, 15 men in the top 50, now just 4, Jeff. First of all, how worrying is that?
So if I was playing now, I would have made the Olympic team easily. Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
Well, you know, I think that a lot of it has to do with winning just as contagious. And you know, players like Pete and Jim and Andre and myself and Malavi Washington, David Wheaton, Todd Martin, Jonathan Stark, Jared Palmer, Richie Rinenberg, all players like this, we all fed off each other. We all got better because of each other. And you just don't have that consolidated group of 10 guys that are pushing each other to get better every week. And, you know, that just, it's endemic almost. It hurts everybody. And so they need to have a nucleus of really good players like Sock, Harrison, 2 Harrisons for that matter, playing against each other, sticking with each other, and making each other better. And I think once that nucleus really gets some engine behind it, we'll see a lot of other players come back with them.
Okay, so let me throw this to you. Do Americans, does the American public, will they be happy with a top 50 player? Or does your general tennis fan, are they really only interested in Grand Slam winners?
Well, I think you want a top 50 player that has the potential to win a slam. And there's a lot of players out there, but not a lot of players that learn the game, that know well enough how to make it into the top 20, into the top 10. But I think at some point you have to blame the coaching. At some point, there's not enough coaches interested in teaching these players to be at the top. Coaches right now are mainly incentivized to just make number 2, number 3 high school tennis players. They're not really incentivized to make a top 10 player in the world. That's the short and the long answer, Nick.
Just what Sock wanted. Right at the start of the second set, he is running away with this right now as we see Joachim Nystrom. And Cipolla, as we see the first set numbers, nowhere near it. That's 16 winners, just the greater weight of shot from Sok. Balancing it off with 14 unforced errors. Took his chances when they were there. 2 from 2 on the break points.
First set summary there. Pretty much said it all. Really easy to dissect what Sok did right and what Cipolla did wrong. Well, that's a perfect volley. Deep, one foot from the baseline. That was a very tough return for a serving volleyer. And that's what I'm talking about. He's learning that volley as this match goes on. He didn't make that in the first game, in the second game. But now, second game of the second set, with some confidence, he's making those kinds of shots.
It's a bit like watching a heavyweight at the moment take on a lightweight. Whether the heavyweight can keep it going. Keep your tweets coming to us here in the commentary box at ITV Tennis or at Nick Lester or at Jeff Tarango. That's the 3 addresses you can pick us up on here on Twitter.
We want to stay interactive. Excitement's the best thing for tennis. Well, that's just bad luck. It was a really good first serve there by Sok. He was pulling his opponent out wide, and he hit the best return he possibly could hit on that. And then he still had the open court, Jack, and clipped the net. It's in the budget. Oh, just went for a little too much there. See, that ball 5 feet in would have been fine. He still would have won the point. Just had too many options. That's the slice forehand I was talking about earlier, Nick, and maybe you could hear me slightly down there because that was perfectly executed off that short return that Cipolla wants him to go for an error and hit a low percentage shot. Look at him come in, much better footwork into that ball, got right behind it, and got lucky to get it on the line, but the idea was correct.
Talk about his agent, his management. Which group, which stable is he in, Jeff, for Jack Sok?
It's CAA, but Tiriac kind of oversees some of the agents within that company. So I think Ion Tiriac was the one who originally roped him in. And who wouldn't want to be coached and represented by Ion Tiriac in the tennis world?
CAA stands for?
Creative Artists.
There he is. Look at that, just as we were talking about him. Good timing.
That's Ahmet Noir, who was the agent for Safin. Currently the agent for Djokovic, Verdasco. Just catching the line, and Sok is really zoned in here today. He's hitting a lot of lines, and that just shows the focus and desire that he has. And that's about as much as you're going to get out of his coach there. A little wry smile, shake of the glasses.
How many times did you play Nystrom?
I never played Nystrom. He was...
doubles?
His knee kind of went out right when I came on the tour. I think the first time I went to Wimbledon. I watched him and Nylander play doubles, and he was almost out. Again, just clipping the tape and then the ball hitting the line. What momentum he has right now.
This is a massacre right now. Points for a double break in the second.
Well, it just shows you the difference between this surface here and the surface in LA. This surface so much quicker, so much more bigger advantage for an aggressive American player like Jack Sock, who's now up 2 breaks, as Nick alluded, in the second set. We'll be back in a second with more excitement from the up-and-coming American, Jack Sock.
On the little Italian Flavio Cipolla here. There's some of the results of the day so far. Anna Ivanovic, comprehensive win against Sofia Arvidsson, 2-2. Plachkova is into the last 32. Good win for her. Jeff Tarango's pointing out Maria Kirilenko's win in straight sets.
Well, she has a really good draw. I can see her going quite far in this tournament. She could be one of those how did you get here quarterfinalists or semifinalists. So you should monitor her progress throughout the tournament so that you can say, I've been watching her since the beginning.
Are you in the racket bracket this year? I know Jeff likes to do the racket brackets.
You know, my iPad wouldn't submit. I did the draw like twice on the men's and women's side, and it wouldn't submit, so I just kind of gave up.
Because I tell you what, folks, during Wimbledon, Jeff and I were working together, and he was doing great in the racket bracket until Lee Na let him down. And then where did you end up?
It got bad after that, but I was 11 up until that day.
If you have no idea what we're talking about, the racket bracket is basically where you put in yourself who you think is going to win each round, all the way through to the winner.
It's fun. About 10,000 people usually enter. It's fun. That is probably the best time to double fault, other than 40 love, but up 2 breaks, 30 love. Good time to go for a good aggressive second serve. Sock again, taking that Michael Chang out wide stance in the ad court. 30 all, a little bit too gamey. It's one of those shots. When you make it, you're a genius, and when you miss it, you just look so silly. On that particular shot, Jack was a little off balance. Could have made it. Didn't quite. It's 30 all. Let's see how he plays the big point.
Good pass. to be fair, just didn't get enough on the approach that time.
Now you see he just kind of hangs back there. He's way behind the baseline before he gets started and created too much angle for his opponent, so it's too tough to cover all that court. He would have been better off with his approach 5-6 feet inside the singles line, but deep. That's how you save break points. I wish I could do it that way. 120 out wide on the line.
Yeah, that'll earn you a few bucks, won't it, over the years? That'll keep the bank balance ticking over.
Yeah, that was Pete's favorite serve. 120 out wide on the line. Every day.
Just a corker of a forehand. So much work on the ball. Look at the rotation he gets.
Yeah, anytime you see a floater like that across the net in the pro game, you've got to give it a ride.
It's a little lost at the moment. It's Flavio Cipolla.
Well, I think, you know, he really had a read on sock serve in Los Angeles, but this faster surface that the USTA has employed for the American players, let's be honest, the American players need a little bit faster courts with Query, Fish, Sock, Steve Johnson, and this really helps. And the clay quarters, the Italian players that like the slower surfaces, that like the grittiness, that like grinding out a point, they're just a little bit lost. It's just happening a little too fast for them. It was a great move by Patrick McEnroe to make this court like this.
Cipolla's only won 6 points in the entire set so far.
Well, that serve well long. Well, we waste our time with this challenge. Someone just tweeted in, can Sock have success on any other surface besides hard court? And my answer to that is, I mean, look how far out that is just a second, I'll get back to it. Just as far out, same spot. A big serve doesn't go away. It's a big serve on any surface, on any ball. With anywhere you go, indoors, outdoors, it doesn't matter. But the rest of his game has to come along. He could be very good on grass. He could be very good on clay once he learns how to play a point. He's showing us today, up 6-2, 5-0 now, Nick, that he's learning how to wait, how to be patient, how to play the Santoro-esque players and dissect them, and then just look. He looks like he's overpowering him, but he's really a lot more patient than he normally is out there, going for it on the second, third point, hitting smarter volleys. That doesn't go away on grass. It doesn't go away on clay. It's a little bit harder. Yes, you have to be a little bit more fit, but as his education in the game goes up, he will be better. So yes, I say he can play on any other surface. Of course, I'd love to see him playing in the big $2-3 million tournaments indoors. I think he would excel in those tournaments, and that's why I think he should go play qualies in Stockholm. He should go play qualies at all the TMSs and go for it. I mean, he's got the bankroll to go for it. He should go for it. I hope that answers your question.
to name 4 of players who played and then went back to school.
Yeah, well, they should have never gone pro anyway. None of those guys could have been top 50 in the world.
So you agree with what McEnroe is saying then?
But I don't understand the lost part. Like,
he says he believes we lost a generation of players that turned pro too early and never got out of the Challenger Futures run.
okay.
Jeff Tarango has spoken, and it was brief, which is quite rare.
I want to be the Jacques Cousteau that finds them. Let's put it that way. I think they're out there. I think they're out there. I do. And it's really tough because Patrick's in between a rock and a hard place on that. If he goes out and he takes chances picking guys and he's wrong, then he's ruined their futures. You know, I mean, because then they can't go to college. So he went to college. He went 4 years. He understands the importance of having a college degree. And so I think there's a dichotomy there for him, you know, because he's being pressured to make top pros, but at the same time, he understands the importance of college education. And so it's very tough for him to sit in that chair. But that being said, there are plenty of great talents out there, and it'll eventually happen. I just don't think that there's a void out there.
You're losing too many athletes to basketball and baseball.
Actually, we're losing the women athletes to volleyball.
But every time I hear that argument, I don't get it, because those sports have been around for ages too. I don't understand how that is relevant now to how it wasn't relevant 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The sports were around then, so why would you lose more players now?
Well, because the scholarships have been greatly reduced, and there's a lot more foreign players playing in college systems, so the incentives for parents isn't as high because there's only 4.5 men's scholarships per team. So Division I schools, you do the math, there's a lot less scholarships available, and most coaches are only giving 70% scholarships now, so that they can get almost everybody on the team with some kind of financial assistance. And so the parents don't think that it's worth the tennis lessons all those years for them to maybe get a scholarship, because most of the schools have all foreigners on their team. And so that's where the problem is with American tennis, is that the high school kids aren't being rewarded for staying in tennis. And that has nothing to do with the USTA or anybody else. It has to do with the NCAA's allowing these kids who have already gone out on the pro tour and tried to make it. Now they're not making it at age 17, 18, 19 years old, and they're deciding to come to college over in the States. So it's actually, once again, not in anybody's hands except the NCAA. And it'll take them about another 10 years to catch up to speed on that, but that's life. I think Congress actually needs to step in and do something about that problem. I don't think even the NCAA can really rightly, politically correct wise even fix that problem. I think actually Congress has to step in and say, this is an American issue, it's an American problem, these are scholarships that need to go to Americans. So you heard it here first. Congress needs to step in.
Couple of good volleys again. Got away with the first one, really, a little just push, but he's all over his man, really. I was having this conversation with one of my colleagues the other day, American colleagues, and I said that to him. I said, so if you go and watch, you're an assistant coach at USC. If you were going to watch USC, do you care if there's a Swede playing at 5 and 6, or would you prefer to see an American playing at 5 or 6? If you're a fan of, say, USC, what would you prefer? Does it matter to you or not?
Well, I think that's the thing.
Forget the fan.
Well, I'm not going to be the assistant coach next year, but Pete Smith had who's the head coach at USC, he had a great analogy for that. And he said, okay, he's not the right example because he's won 4 championships in a row, but let's say, and it's a break point here for Sock, and he's kind of losing momentum, but it's a great time for him to take a mental break. I'm not worried about him at all right now. You just got to chill out a little bit. Be focused. Don't get down on yourself when you're this far ahead. Never get down on yourself when you're ahead. But if you're the head coach at a smaller school, let's say in Alabama, and your job's on the line on your performance, are you going to go with 3 Americans that are subpar in the rankings, or are you going to go for the 3 top, the one top Spanish guy, the one top guy from the Netherlands, and the top guy from Sweden to come into your team to save your job? And I think that's more where the issue is, and that's why the problem, because the athletic director then is above the coach. He wants performance. So it's really out of everybody's hands, except Congress needs to step in and say, these are American scholarships.
So the problem is effectively then it's all about winning.
Yes.
The people aren't looking at the bigger picture.
No.
It's just about
That's,
W's.
that's the bigger problem. And it's not anybody's fault until it's at the top. And where is the top? You know, the rule needs to come from the top. And I think it would turn around Americans in tennis. I would think it would solve that problem.
Interesting.
So maybe you should be allowed 1 foreigner on the team of 6 or 2 foreigners on the team of 6, but maybe only 1.3 scholarships or something like this per Division I school team. I mean, even the Division II and Division III schools now are completely full of foreign players on these tennis teams.
I know numerous Brits playing in Division 2 on full scholarships.
Right.
And they're not very good, quite frankly.
Right.
With all due respect.
No, but now the coach says, I have a pipeline to England, and I'm getting connections, and I'm doing this Czech Republic visit. And, you know, a coach goes to a Czech Republic visit, and he comes back with a couple connections, and maybe in a year or 2, he gets a star player who wins the NCAAs, and he looks like a great coach, you see, and that helps his job. So it's not really his fault. It's not really anyone's fault, except for the fact that America needs to stand up for America.
Well, we got a little off subject, but forgive us for that. It's just a little lapse really in this match because Sock is so far ahead. Cipolla has just won a mini battle, but it's 5-2, and the American will serve it out, you suspect, for a 2-set lead. Well, let's give you some scores. Marty Fish is in trouble today. Nikolai Davydenko set to the gun on Marty Fish in 4-3. Joe Wilfried Tsonga, another man who's got problems. Martin Klizan, 2 sets to 1 up on Joe Wilfried Tsonga and Louis Armstrong. So Fish and Tsonga both in trouble on the main 2 courts. No trouble at all, though, at the moment for this teenager from Nebraska, serving for a 2-set lead.
That's a very aggressive forehand cross court. And you see how his timing is just coming together for himself. But Jackie was shanking a few of those forehands early on, and now doing good work with that aggressive forehand cross court. Perfect slice forehand there, Nick.
Cipolla with his arms in the air as if to say, Mamma mia, what do I do next?
Yeah, and it's, hey, the rookie after 3 weeks has learned how to beat you. And that's just the way it is, buddy. That's what Jack Sock's saying.
Seen a few of those today. He's really mixed the power and the brutality of his game with the finesse and the drop shot.
And you really have to give credit to Jack Sock and his coaching staff and everybody behind him, his support group, because you lose to someone like Cipolla at Los Angeles 3-1. You have to ask yourself some hard questions like, why did I lose to that guy? How can I beat that guy? And it really shows that he's taken a page into his own book here today of 2-0. And you can see Ahmet and his agency very happy with this 2-0 start. But I'm going to say, here comes Gunter Bresnik to scout the match. But there's been a lot of people up 2-0 in this tournament so far, so I don't want to jinx Jack by saying that it looks like he's going to get this, because he's still alone.
Line that is, if you're a fan of this young American. It's been a thoroughly dominant performance, it must be said, right from the off. The first couple of games were a little bit hairy with Cipolla mixing in that low slice of his, but as Jeff was saying, it was only a month ago that scoreline was the sixes were on the other side, and Cipolla had his man in fairly comfortable style. But that was just at the start really of Sock's comeback after the surgery that he had on his stomach. Had to have quite some time out, and I guess when you're 19, 20, you learn day by day. It's as simple as that. And 4 weeks, you can learn a lot in 4 or 5 weeks, and clearly Sock has done that.
But also, Nick, I think that a lot of players, when they, especially the younger players, when they have injuries like that, they feel a little bit more immortal. Some of that arrogance is lifted, and you come back with a lot more desire to make sure it's going to happen in your career, because let's be honest, Jack Sock is taking quite a risk in not going to college, turning pro, and he wants to make it happen for himself. And sometimes those little injuries can really spur you on to be a better player. I call it the desire factor. And a lot of Americans need a bigger desire factor.
15.
You certainly aren't going to ever ask if the Spanish player out there playing wants it enough, are you?
So here's a question for you. When you were playing,